upper caste girl. Her upper caste Hindu family. Higher caste. Those were some of the phrases pushed into early headlines about the Nanded murder by news outlets, even though later reporting located the accused family in a Padmashali OBC community, not an upper caste one. This isn't a small slip. It shows how fast Indian media reaches for a rehearsed caste binary, sometimes before checking the simplest facts. Now let's look at what this case actually reveals and why the way it was reported matters. In Nanded, Maharashtra, a brutal murder exposed the uncomfortable, messy reality of caste violence in today's India. Saksham Tate, a young man from a Buddhist scheduled caste community, was in a relationship with a woman from the Mamidwar or Mamilwar caste classified under OBC. They wanted to live together and marry, but Saksham went missing and was later found murdered. Police say the woman's brothers killed him. The savagery of the act shocked the country. Soon after, the woman chose to perform marriage rituals with Saksham's dead body, a heartbreaking act that caught national attention and turned her into the face of the tragedy. What happened next was even more telling. Before facts had settled, social media and parts of mainstream commentary instantly declared it a familiar story. A Dalit man killed by an upper caste Hindu family obsessed with caste purity. The same old template appeared as if on autopilot. Upper caste versus Dalit. Oppressor versus oppressed. But the truth was awkward for that script. The accused were not upper caste. They were from special OBC groups themselves. Yet the narrative had already been set, and the real caste identity of the perpetrators was drowned out by a ready-made ideological frame. This kind of selective blindness isn't unique to Nanded. We've seen it repeatedly. Hyderabad last year. Police constable Kongara Nagamani was murdered by her own brother after she married a scheduled caste man. It was clearly an honor killing. But because the perpetrators were not upper caste, the story didn't travel far, and the caste dimension was largely muted. Dharmapuri, Tamil Nadu. Two scheduled caste youths died when their motorcycle was deliberately rammed. The suspicion was that it related to hostility over inter-community relationships. The perpetrators were reportedly from a backward caste group, but national coverage avoided discussing caste angles in depth. Outrage faded fast. Rajasthan. An OBC boy was beaten to death by members of another backward caste community over a relationship dispute. Even with clear caste hostility, reports flattened it into a personal rivalry, stripping away caste context because it disrupted the binary. Look at the pattern. When scheduled castes or Adivasis are victims and the accused are upper caste, caste becomes the headline, the slogan, the rallying cry. But when caste violence is lateral or reversed, OBC versus SC, SC versus OBC, SC versus SC, or when upper castes are targeted, the caste lens suddenly disappears. The same brutality becomes family dispute, youth rivalry, or emotional conflict. The vocabulary changes depending on the usefulness of the story. Why does this distortion keep happening? One big reason is how we collect data. The SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act records crimes against SC/ST communities, and official statistics focus on victims, not perpetrators. The caste identity of accused persons is not systematically captured in public datasets. Worse, caste-motivated crimes against non-SC/ST communities have no comparable legal category. So the official archive of caste atrocities becomes one-directional. SC/ST appear as victims and upper caste appear statistically as perpetrators because no other map is being drawn. Researchers Sufia Pathan and Duncan Julke have pointed out that this shapes social imagination. When only certain crimes enter caste atrocity counts, the public starts believing violence flows only top-down. Meanwhile, cases that don't fit are quietly filed away as something else. History also shows what gets erased. Take the 1992 Bara massacre in Bihar. Around 40 men from the upper-caste Bhumihar community were executed by armed insurgents from a radical organization with Dalit backing. Locally, it was understood as caste-targeted violence. Nationally, it was framed mainly as Naxalite violence, with caste reduced to a footnote. Survivors still speak of social invisibility even decades later. Or the Afsar massacre, where Kurmi militia members attacked Bhumihar villagers in an act widely read on the ground as caste retaliation tied to land and power struggle. Once again, caste was softened into insurgency related violence. Across Bihar, UP, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, wherever land, class, and political mobilizations intersect, caste violence has often been multi-directional. But mainstream memory keeps only the neat binary version because it is politically convenient. And that convenience is powerful. A rigid oppressor oppressed narrative helps many interest groups. It sustains moral certainty, enables quick mobilization, and discourages deeper investigation into local realities like land ownership, political patronage, reservation competition, and shifting regional hierarchies. So, even when an OBC family kills a scheduled caste youth, as in Nanded, the machinery still calls it upper caste Hindu violence. This matters for policy too. The only legal instrument that squarely recognizes caste motivated crime is limited to SC/ST victims. There is no parallel recognition for caste targeted crimes against OBCs or general category castes, or even for intercaste couples outside the expected vertical hierarchy. Justice mechanisms follow ideology more than reality. To be clear, pointing out this distortion does not deny or downplay atrocities against the so called lower castes. It demands something more honest, a full picture. A society that recognizes only some victims and only some perpetrators is not fighting injustice, it is protecting a dangerous narrative. The claim that only one caste group can be violent and only one group can be oppressed is not sociology, it's politics, the politics of reservations. Some argue that reservation or affirmative action in India is unavoidable, given the brutal social realities of a nation still recovering from centuries of colonial exploitation. Yet the political class chooses to justify the policy by cooking up a narrative of historical caste-based oppression, dividing Hindu society into a false binary of oppressor and oppressed. And it is this rehearsed caste binary that gets reflected in the media reportage of the Nanded case. This must be corrected urgently, or the manufactured hatred will consume the nation.